Welcome to The Mountain Gardener with your host, Ken Lane. Gardening can be challenging, but with Ken's tips, tricks, and local advice, you'll reap huge rewards. Now welcome your host, Ken Lane.
And welcome to this week's edition of The Mountain Gardener. Your host, Ken Lane, here every week talking about the landscapes of Northern Arizona. And this is what we live for. In Northern Arizona, actually, I was up in Las Vegas this week, had some business up there with some pottery distribution things, and it was beautiful up there. I think it was 80 degrees in the morning. Of course, we bugged out before it heated up in the middle of the day, but I think it's even nicer in the mountains of Arizona. So as we come from the desert up the hill, you can just sleep better up here. Windows are open, turned off the air conditioning, the heater's not going yet. It's perfect. It's perfect for hiking and biking. It's perfect for kayaking. It's just perfect. The autumn in the mountains of Arizona is just the best. And your gardens think it's the best too. So you're seeing a lot of plants right now. They're just in all their glory. You're starting to see every day the colors starting to enhance more and more. And so you see sumacs. There's a shrub that's out there in the wild even. It's orange right now. It's always the announcer. It says, it is autumn. Here we are. And so from there, the sumacs, we also have them available to plant. If you just want a native, robust plant that is super hardy in the summer, you can't kill the thing. You're not going to need to water it once it's rooted and going. And it always has this beautiful orange to red color in the fall. Well, sumacs, that's your plant. It's so easy to care for. And so the next one that's coming online is a tree. It's the maples are going. So you're starting to see the top edge of the maples are starting to turn red or gold. There's two varieties. There's Acer rubrum or red maples, and there's Acer saccharinum, which is more of the sugar or the gold colors, more of an aspen gold. Both are magnificent. Right now, the reds seem to be the ones that are the most popular. I think it's because we have so much gold. Arizona naturally has gold and blue. Those are our two native landscape colors. So you see all the junipers are blue, the Arizona cypress are blue, the scrub oaks are blue, lots and lots of blue. And so it's nice to have green. So that's where it's just kind of nice to introduce a pine tree in there, an Austrian pine, this nice rich green that's year round. So we'd like to contrast that. The other one naturally that occurs is gold. You see a lot of gold color. Aspens, of course, are the number one thought of as gold. So they're starting to go up in the mountains as well. You're seeing that edge, first leading edge. And for the next month, it's going to be spectacular. And so it's just kind of, it's a very good time. If you're seeing something out there and you go, oh, wow, that's really pretty. I would like to have one of those in my backyard. You too. Now is the time to plant those. You have your best selection of maples, aspens available now. You've got your best selection of your evergreens. That would be pines and spruce and fir and cypress and cedars and junipers, all those winter evergreens. This is the time when you plant those. So you go, oh, Ken said there's too much blue. You're right. It would be nice to have some green in there. And so you can plant that. You don't feel like this is hard for you folks from the more deserty tropical areas of the Southern Cals, Palm Springs, Phoenix, Tucson's. You're thinking, oh, no, you can't plant now. It's going to get cold. It's going to get below 50. You can't you can't plant now. That is not true. Actually, fall is the best time for planting. In fact, in the Midwest, you folks from the East Coast and Midwest, fall is for planting. It's a big theme back there. And so you put in a lot of trees, a lot of big shrubs back then. If you're thinking of a privacy screens for evergreens, you've got a good selection, and it's a good time to plant them. And your neighbors are going to be seeing you more than ever as soon as the deciduous plants, that is those plants that lose or drop their leaves. Typically the fall colored plants will drop their leaves. And by the end of November, the yard can be naked. This is almost the time when you look across the yard and you're waving at your neighbors in their kitchen because they're looking at you in your kitchen. You just, because that tree that was there is now dropped its leaves and naked. So this is a time to spot treat, to place strategically those evergreen plants, and it's a good time to plant. I thought I would touch on, just because the flowers of autumn are nicer than many of the other seasons. And so my mums have been spectacular for a month, and they're still in all their glory. They'll be that way through till 1st of December. Then they'll kind of turn to this nice straw color. They're just the shape, even when they're true perennials, they will hibernate underground and kind of just stay alive underground. They'll come back fresh next spring. Well, this is I think even as they start to turn their autumn color is gold, the flowers will turn to a straw color, and the whole plant turns to the straw color. It's beautiful, with or without color. With its green or whether it's straw color, it's just a beautiful plant, and it grows better here than anywhere else in the country. We don't have, first of all, the East Coast. It's just an annual. You put it out there, you fully expect to throw it away. Not so here. They're very robust because we're a mild climate. And so they come back for years to come. Mums, or chrysanthemums, are a tremendous plant. Now's the time to just get the best selection right now, because when you plant them. Snapdragons are another one that kind of a companion to mums. Snapdragons and mums both are javelina proof, deer proof, rabbit proof. I mean, they just don't bother them. And so they're kind of one of those kind of bulletproof plants you can put out there. Snapdragons, they actually think they're wildflowers. They'll reseed out in the yard. They're kind of tumble down a hillside. They come in many colors. They got a tremendously long bloom cycle. They'll bloom in the spring. They take a little break in summer. They start to bloom again in fall. And then they'll keep their green through winter. They may not bloom in January, but they'll have their green foliage. So it's a good, strong plant, stronger plant for here than I think anywhere else in the country. In the deserts, they get too hot and they just flush out. They're truly an annual down there. They will die in the summer. In the East Coast, they're gonna freeze in the winter. But here we're in this perfect balance. That's why we live here. I mean, it doesn't get hot in the summer, it doesn't get cold in the winter. But we have 4 seasons. It's 4 seasons without all the just crazy extremes that other parts of the country have. That's why we live here. And your plants will love you. They'll keep blooming for you longer than most. Asters are kind of, I always think of asters and mums. They're both a classic autumn type of flower, a true perennial again. So it's a perennial and permanent. Both start with P, so they come back year after year. An annual just lasts for 1 year, then it's gone. So it can come back by seed, but it won't come back by that root. A perennial will actually come back. That same exact plant will come up in the yard from that root. It just hibernates underground typically. Asters are another one of those types of perennials. And it's a native. So there's a lot of native perennial flowers. There's like a real pretty white one that's out there right now, just out in the fields, out in the forest. You'll run across it. Those are asters, and you can plant them. They come in pinks and purples and whites and yellows, lots of choices. One of my favorites that I just look spectacular in my yard right now are autumn joy sedums. Now, there's a lot of varieties of sedums. Most of them are real low growing. They creep through rock gardens and around. They're kind of a ground covery kind of thing, but not autumn joy sedums. These are knee-high, stunning perennials. They got the same sedum foliage. So it's got a real fleshy, watery foliage, but the flowers are bright pink to almost red. So they'll bloom like that. They look their best in the autumn. Thus their name, Autumn Joy, because they look so striking now through the end of the year. Then they'll go ahead and hibernate underground like a true perennial, and then they'll come back again for you next spring. Another that I like in my yard, kind of one of my top, I like mums in the autumn, but one of my favorite perennials for year round would have to be echinacea. Gaillardia, or blanket flower. That's another name. So Gaillardia or blanket flower. And I like that one only because it's a true native. So we put that particular seed in all of our wildflower seed. You can buy just a plant in full bloom as well. But it starts to bloom in like April. It doesn't stop blooming until like end of November. It's got the craziest bloom cycle. That's one that benefits from pinching. Pinch the flowers off. It'll keep blooming over and over and over. We've got a lot in store for you here. Let's take a quick break, come back, and we'll discuss some more flowers and plants of autumn with you right after this. Feed your plants now for bigger, brighter, better fruit in spring.
Waters 644 fruit tree food is safely organic with added calcium for sweeter fruit quality.
Far safer for your pets and birds than those chemical fertilizers the box store sells.
And it's kinder on the environment, too.
Simply sprinkle on the soil and water it in.
Bigger, brighter, and better fruits in spring.
Get yours today at Watters Garden Center in Prescott. Natural, safe, organic.
You've been listening to The Mountain Gardener with Ken Lane, owner of Watters Garden Center in Prescott. Join him every week for timely garden advice right for the gardens. Visit Ken where he can be found throughout the week at Watters Garden Center in Prescott.